So this is, the classic way of looking at this is it takes time to get to innovative instances. And I just want to say something about these structures that are so beautiful and what I find entering communities that have been living here for a while and activists that have been living here for a while where the power is to push back, right? And they haven't experienced, but that's what I love about this community. You've been in circle, you've seen that. You've seen and you've experienced regularly a container that can hold everybody in the diverging views, and then you find your agreement. So sometimes, this is called participatory decision making. Sometimes I call this decision making point, and I call this finding agreement, right? Because it's often there, it just needs to be found. I think that's what Kathy said to me this morning. I said something about her position as a prosecutor. I said, talk about holding the complexity. She said, no, it's not. It's simple. So simple. And told me a story just about what families need. Right? So I think the time thing is something we need to play about, deeply about, as hosts, right? And any questions about this? Yeah.
It seems real similar to group dynamics in terms of the time that you go through the different stages, and you need to understand that, the stages of group dynamics in order to, because most of the work in groups, if you go under the model of group dynamics, is in differentiation, where people can agree to disagree, have your own thoughts and feelings and whatever, but it takes a long time to get to that. And when someone new comes in, it changes the whole, you go back to the beginning again. So, but having that in the back of your mind can really be helpful in terms of getting to some kind of agreement or resolution.
Kind of going with what Joanne said, Alex and I were kind of talking about that from a clinical standpoint of being a host is so similar to being a therapist in that, and I love that point about you want to be really careful how you answer those questions or make those comments, because that's something I have to pull myself back in a lot. Like somebody says something and instantly I've got something to say back to it. But as a host, I need to keep that in my mouth sometimes. I need to keep those words in there. Yeah.
So I'm a recovering therapist, and I want to offer that one of the things hosting did for me was really liberate me from having to have the answer in a way that as therapists we help people discover, but we guide and move toward. And hosting, I use my clinical skills every single time I host. There's no doubt for me that being a therapist is really a key part of my hosting practice. And there was a lot of unlearning. When you talked about keeping your mouth closed, there's a lot of not intervening I do as a host that I would as a therapist. My role is not to be the intervener and to provide an intervention that will get people moving in a certain direction. And so it's really interesting. It's like this beautiful skill set, and yet I found in my clinical practice, and I certainly wouldn't speak for anyone else, there's a certainty in diagnosis and treatment planning and intervention that in hosting I had to set aside for inquiry and curiosity and what's possible. That's really, I continue to still, and I remember being with Chris and one of our colleagues, Tim, we were in this really intense dynamic, intense dynamics, and I remember thinking, they don't care about the dynamics at all. They don't care, they're just hosting it. And I'm in there trying to figure it out, right? I'm trying to figure out where they are and who's doing what and who has this relationship, and they didn't care. And it just opened the group up. That was my experience of it, my trying to figure it out and get in there and help it go a really good way was actually not helping it. So it was a really interesting thing I keep with myself, because that's my default, to try to figure it out. So I just offer that. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I was really thinking about the group dynamics, and that sometimes my understanding of group dynamics totally gets in the way of hosting, because I'm trying to sort.
So yesterday we were talking about being present. And so for me, in the conversations that I could imagine hosting, I would be really present because I would be invested in the outcome.
Right.
So, and I think most of us here are here because we're invested in some way in some community. And we're here because we want to see some outcome. So how do we keep from injecting ourselves, if you will, into the process so that it gets stunted by our thoughts on how I want to see my community be?
We need to add that question.
Yeah,
back.
we do.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it is. I think that, so that's a question that I don't want to answer.
That's because she's a host.
Because it's right, we need that question today. We need it.
I think that question is the heart of it all. I think that it goes to abandoning the hierarchical model. Mm-hmm. And why should we abandon the hierarchical model? Why not be the judge or be the therapist? Because you have no idea, you don't know what you don't know. But the people in the room have so much, and you won't ever know if you are making decisions. I did a mediation for the Justice Department for these 2 counties in Kansas, and the sheriffs in both counties wanted to have a drug treatment court, their own drug treatment court. And the Justice Department is saying, no, you're so close, why not cooperate? And they wouldn't do it. And to get people to buy into the model is hard, because when we had a circle, and I put a marker in the table, and I said, you've got the solutions, and nobody would say anything. We went on for 20 minutes with absolute silence, and then all the solutions came. And I never could have thought of the thing they thought of. So it's that abandonment of hierarchy that's very difficult, because that's how, that just like Kathy said, that's how, and we're expected to.
I just want to take that and say that the structure, so we're talking about creating structures here. So that's, the hierarchy is a structure that's here and that holds up so much of the world that we live in. And I think the question for hosting is, what structures can we bring that can create other ways of being within and without of the hierarchy? I think that's another question here, right? Abandoning the hierarchy for you as a judge means something very, very important and brings you into community in these questions, right? Anybody else before?
I just want to say that that is the most beautiful thing I've heard in a long time. Retired judge.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just lifted.
Yeah.
I just want to put a marker on it because I'm just writing down, like, it goes to this question about, like, what's keeping us from accessing our abundance.
Right.
The idea that one of us has more of the answer than anybody else. It's just like so obvious, right? But because we're trained, or we have a little bit more experience, or I have a position, or I have more money, or my skin is lighter, or something gives me the authority to tell you I have more than that, and that's what that is like. I'm just having a big hit, and I want to put a big marker on it. That seems like one piece of the fundamental answer to that question, right? What keeps us from acting? If we have everything we need, why can't we access it? It's because one person is telling us how to do it, right? Instead of all of us doing it. So I just want to really thank you for that.
So I was going to say, one thing here, we've got this is a great place for questions, and this is when those folks that love it, the sorting and a little more order, and it starts to come in here, and you know what, folks are ready for it by here, right? After you've been through that together. And the other beautiful thing that happens when you go through these processes is the group trusts. So here, because I think so this is kind of touching your question. You come in here, buy in, here's what I've got. Everybody, I want to hear your ideas, but here's what I've got. When you do that process, right, it's very different than if you go in curious, see, you're prototyping, you're bringing it, you're just bringing your wisdom like everybody else. And then folks, then you can pick up what you want to, what you're going to do here, and there'll be a different kind of trust, a different engagement. I won't say buy-in. That's a word that, as a host, is buying. What do you need? What do you really want? What does it mean? You know, whenever you think that word, you know, get some friends to come around and really think about what do you really, you know, what does it really mean? Where are you really at with that? Are you marketing? Are you prototyping? Are you creating? Are you, you know? So there's
It's just the testing of the I tornado say it's sirens. Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
We need to be Tuesday at 10 o'clock.
It is, yeah. In Illinois, they test them at Tuesday at 10 a.m. every first Tuesday. First Tuesday of the
So
month.
this is just that beautiful moment, that sweet spot here, where the group trusts the people that are going to carry the work forward, right? And you never know, you might have been friends standing right by you.
So if I could just speak to Stone Soup for just a moment. And Reagan had said, and I have no idea why she thinks this way. I mean, I can't imagine that I would ever be in the same position that Reagan that it has been in and feel the same way. But for some crazy reason, she said that the things that, the events that she had been to, the things that she had learned, was that it was a bunch of I don't know. And that she wanted to have something to do with that I don't know stuff. And I'm thinking, man, I wouldn't. I think those people don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to go talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about. So good for Reagan, you know. And so, you know, as we go through with Stone Soap,
Are we changing?
yeah, we're changing. I just decided last night. I'm deciding later.
Bar at a time.
You know, we thought in the very beginning, you know, we thought about this. We can't do something, we don't have enough to be able to just start out with the whole 6 judicial districts. We can't do that. So would it be a pilot here? Would it be 2 places there? Would it be a community and a school? Would it be? So we have, you know, we've sent out applications if you want to be a community partner. You know, now we've got a different group of people that are here than we thought maybe would be here. We don't know. What is it going to look like? We don't know. And even now, in the midst of the art of hosting, right, we still don't know. And we thought maybe we would know by now, you know. So,
they got us right where they want us.
so the great thing is that, you know, that's what we're doing, and we don't really know what we're doing, and that's the truth, you know.
We're artists.
That's right.
And so as long as we can stay on this together and keep working together, we think it's going to come out to be pretty fantastic. But right now, we don't know. And if I could just put one little tiny plug in for Arlene, she's cool with us not knowing. And she's the funder, you know. So we're really very, very lucky to be in this place at this time and to be in that spot of I don't know. And that's exactly where we are right now.
So I just want to say one thing in my mind. I want to thank Kathy for what she said a little bit earlier. I'm one of those people that, like, for the last 10 or 15 years have been going to leadership training, cultivating myself as a leader, thinking very purposefully about leadership and getting somewhere, and I have a whole bunch of unlearning to do now. I don't want to know, right? I want to learn. Yeah, and so that's what I was thinking when you were writing that down. I was like, oh my God, I got to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're ready to get right in there.
I don't know.
The change can save us, because if it's not the hierarchical model, then we don't come in trying to control and make the wrong decisions for the people. So it can be the greatest saving thing in the world, because the people are the people who are among us are deciding.
I just want to add, I didn't realize that I was hosting down in my office. I run the youth leadership development piece. I work in the Department of Program Development. So I would give all my kids these opportunities, you know, put so much in them, but when it came downtown to like actually discuss some issues and come up with some programs, I would be doing majority of the talking. Like I was the adult thinking the kids didn't have nothing to add. But my boss hit me with this, like, Sean, you gotta, give kids opportunities to let them talk. And it was the hardest thing in the world to do, but like you were saying, trusting them, giving them opportunities. The kids came up with the most outstanding projects, the most outstanding titles, the most outstanding flyers, marketing. The retention rate went up. Everything improved to a whole other level. So I'm just saying, I didn't realize I was doing this. I'm just kind of giving a brief testimony of how I know this works. I've seen it with the youth, So youth empowerment on a large scale, like community empowerment, through that process. So.
And that's a theme we've been hearing, trust the people, right? I don't know, trust the people. I mean, good place to be when you're ready to step in there.